In this video, I am going to give you some instructions on how to complete the Illustrator typography activity. What we'll be doing is creating some effects to make text look 3D and give it a shadow. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So to start, we need to open Illustrator from your Start menu. And we'll give that a minute. When you open Illustrator, you'll arrive at the home screen, which gives you some different options for how to get started, but what we want to do is create a new file. So if you click on either Create New or you can go to File, New, you will get the New Document dialog here. And what we want to add in here is, first of all, we want to rename this Typography Activity. And then where it says width, we're going to change points to inches. And we are going to make the width 7 inches. And we're going to make the height 5 inches. And this will create an artboard that is landscape, as you can see. And we're not doing anything with the bleed. We're going to change the color mode to RGB color, because this will just be viewed on a screen, and we're going to keep the raster effects at high, 300 ppi, default for preview mode. Now click Create and give it a second, and you will have your artboard that we're working with. And the next thing we need to do is we need to activate this up here, which I have by default, but you don't probably. So if you go to Window, and then go to Workspace, Essentials Classic, you will access the default from 2 versions ago of Illustrator CC. So once we've done that, what we're going to do is select the Type tool, which you should know what that is by now, but if you click on that, then you'll see the options appear up here. And we want to choose a fill color, and it can be whatever color you want. I'm going to choose, red. And I don't want a stroke for this because it looks a little weird when you're working in the 3D style. So I'm turning off the stroke. I'm going to choose a bold font, and you guys probably have by default Franklin Gothic Heavy and Impact. You can use one of those or anything else that where the letters are kind of wide. We want them to kind of stand out, and it won't show up quite as much if it's not bold. I'm going to actually go with a font called the Bold Font, and I want to make this as big as the options will let me, and so I went ahead and changed the font to 72. And if I click somewhere on here, it will give me the insertion point and a lorem ipsum, which is placeholder text. And from here, I want to go ahead and type my name. So this step, type your name. Now, in Photoshop, to resize something, you could go to Edit, Free Transform. And this program, of course, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is click on this little selection tool, the object selection tool, and then you get the little bounding box, and I can resize it using Shift to make it proportional. So I've done that, and again, I wanted my color to be red. It's not showing as red yet, so if I go back up here and change that to red, there we go. And so we got my name up here, and it has been resized and it's red, and what we want to do now is go to Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel. So if I go to Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel, you'll already see a preview up here if you have the preview checked. If you don't, you can click it and it will give you a preview of what your name looks like in 3D using 3D Extrude and Bevel. Well, what I want to do now is go ahead and put in some settings. So I'm going to change -18 to -20, and I'm going to change the -26 to -20. And then the next thing we want to do is make it 5 degrees. So we're pretty specific with the direction this is going in. And for the extrude depth, we're going to make this 40. And then if you go to bevel, we want to choose bevel classic. And that'll give you kind of this cut corner look. And we'll leave the shading at plastic. Now, if you go to the height over here, we want to change that to 8. And sometimes it's easier just to type it in to use the slider. And now we're going to click OK to commit those changes. Now you'll notice it still shows the original text here without the effect. And that's actually, can be a good thing if you wanted to edit it. I can add another E and you can see it will go ahead and fix that. But the problem is we won't be able to do a nice job with the next effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and commit these changes. I'm going to go to Object, Expand Appearance. And what this will do is make it so I can't edit the text anymore, but I have permanently added in my, or I have permanently committed those changes that I've made. And so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to have you guys warp your name, and you have a choice with this. What we want to do is go to Effect, and we want to go to Warp, the one underneath Illustrator Effects. And if you go across and go down to any one of these, it will open up a dialog that will allow you to access all of them. I'm just going to do Arc, and as you can see, I can adjust this now to whatever I like. And I left this option open to you to decide how much of a warp you're going to do, because some names are longer or shorter than others, and they might look different depending on what kind of warp you're doing, and it might not look as good if you use certain settings that I'm using. So keeping this, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I'm satisfied with that. You can see there's the original. This is showing what it is now, but I want to go ahead and commit these changes. So I'm going to go to Object, Expand Appearance, and now that is committed. And the last thing that I'm going to do to this text is I'm going to go to Effect and Stylize, the top Stylize underneath Illustrator Effects. We want to go to this Stylize because it has the drop shadow option. So I'm going to click drop shadow, and we're keeping the color black here. The opacity, how see-through it is or not see-through it is, we're going to make 70%. Oh, and we're keeping the mode at multiply. For the offset, now a fraction of an inch is going to make a big difference with this shadow. I want to make it 0.05 inches for the X offset and 0.05 inches for the Y offset. And what that will do is just kind of bring that shadow closer in. And then with the blur, I want to make that 0.05. Once I've done that, if I click OK, now I have my name with a drop shadow behind it. Kind of helps pop it out and makes it look like it's kind of lifting up off the screen, kind of pointing out at you. So now that I'm happy with all of that, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and we want to put this in your Documents. So click on Documents, and then we're going to call it Typography Activity. And we are going to keep it as an Illustrator file. Notice when we created the new file, it has the name that we used when we created that. So when I click Save, and all these settings I keep, I'm just clicking OK. And I am done. So now I can turn this in. So if I go into Google Classroom and go into the Typography Activity module, I can go ahead and upload and attach this to my submission and click Turn In. So that's how you complete the Illustrator Typography Activity.